Hey everyone, Reverend Dr. Katie here. I hope you're doing well. I am coming to you right after the spring equinox. And we're in the middle of this equinox season, or actually just at the very beginning of this equinox season that will last us quite a few weeks. And it's one of my favorite times of the year. When I walk outside, there's actually flowers that are starting to bloom and come up, and the weather is getting a little bit nicer. If that's not true where you live, that's okay. You know, you have that assurance that spring is there. So let's talk a little bit about this balancing energy. So as we're in this time where the hours of daylight, the hours of evening are approximately co-equal. So it reminds us of our own balance. It reminds us of our own spiritual life, and when we can live very beautifully into this earth energy, into this earth rhythm, seeking that balance in our own lives and determining what is it that needs more balance in our own lives can be really, really beautiful. And so in our spiritual lives, I'm just kind of curious, where are all of you feeling like you may need a little more balance? Where are you feeling off kilter? If you were holding two scales in your hands, which one would be really heavy? Which one would be really light? What are the areas of your life, especially of your spiritual life, that could use a little more balance? Now, keep in mind, we are still in the pandemic. I know it's been a year. It's been a long year, longest year ever. And I know that. And we're still making a lot of adjustments. We're still finding new ways to be balanced. So, what your balance looks like now may be very different than it looked like 2 years ago, or very different than it will look like in a year. This is very contextual. This is in your life right at this moment. So, I'm going to ask everyone to really take stock of where you are right now and let go, absolutely let go of any expectations of what it should look like. Instead, lean into the balance that you desire in your own life. Your time commitments, the way you spend your spiritual time will reflect your priorities. So if you stop and kind of think about a day in your spiritual life, in your soul space, in your mind, in your emotions, in your practices, and how you're living in your spiritual life. Does that time, does the energy that you are putting into your spiritual practices, into your spiritual life, into the questions that you're asking, the answers that you're seeking and finding, does that reflect your priorities for your spiritual life? Are you spending more time in anxiety or more time in really, really wrestling with the tough questions? Or are you spending more time in finding fulfillment and finding new answers and new ways to live into those? So just kind of take stock and see if those are balanced in your own life. If you're spending more time in the anxiety kind of stage and the kind of constant questionings and feeling not at ease in your own soul, really, maybe it's time to just take a look at that. What's preventing you from getting the answers that you're desiring? If you are getting the answers and you're really starting to live into that flow, you're starting to receive maybe messages for yourself, you're starting to receive some of those answers, then that's beautiful. Is the time that you're spending in that reflecting where it is that you're desiring to go? So, part of what I'm getting to here is something that's going to sound very peculiar when we're talking about our spiritual lives, and that is making a plan. This might be my type A kind of personality coming through, but it is actually very possible for us to make a plan for our spiritual lives. We can't guarantee outcomes, but don't worry, God's got that in hand. What we're actually asked to do is to be very faithful to a process. When we are intentional about our own, sorry, like my hair has all this static. Okay. When we're very intentional about our spiritual lives, we can make an intentional plan about like next steps, things that we're going to seek out, ways that we're going to prioritize our time in order to shift from the place of anxiety-ridden questions that don't always get us to where we want to go into shifting into the flow, getting some of those questions answered, taking stock of our spiritual life in a new way. So, if you're in that kind of particular place, what would it feel like to start to make the plan for your own spiritual life? And would that be supportive to you? Many of us believe that it's just going to like fall from heaven right here in our laps, but actually, I think that God kind of asks us to be co-participants in this process, to be co-creators, to be decision makers about our spiritual lives. We can decide, for instance, to shift from a place of constant flight, fight, freeze, flight, fight, fight, or freeze in our spiritual lives, if every time we start to think about our spiritual lives, we enter into that state, we can actually make some conscious decisions. What can I do to get out of that state? Because while you're in that state, you're not going to ever experience the flow and the dynamism that you deserve in your spiritual life. We're never able to grow if we're constantly stuck in the fear mode, right? That fear mode will crush every spiritual goal that we ever set, because we'll always return to it. So what if you actually made an intention for yourself, like, I'm going to shift out of that mode, like my goal right now is to shift out of that mode. I'm going to take whatever steps I need to in order to do that. You take the steps, you're faithful to that process, and then you know that you're going to get results. You're going to experience something. You're going to learn something about yourself. Right? So putting some intentionality into your spiritual life actually yields the spontaneity that you desire. I'm going to say that again. Putting the intentionality into your spiritual life actually will yield the spontaneity that you desire, because you open up the vibrational space within yourself to experience that flow between you and the divine. And you can take particular steps to help yourself get there. Those steps maybe look different for everyone. I certainly have ones that I teach people that I think work very well, that are tried and true, and then people work within their own intuition. What if your only goal right now is to develop your intuition so that you have some more certainty about your intuition? And you put intentionality behind that, you put a plan into place, and you enact it. A flexible plan. I'm not talking about like steps 1 through 1,000. I'm talking about steps like 1 through 3. But you put those into place, you are faithful to those, you experience that flow. You experience where there's still lingering questions. You experience what is the next best step for you. And you're able to determine that because you're developing your intuition. All right. So this springtime is a beautiful time for expanding your awareness of what you need, of beginning to create some of that plan, and really entering into it with intention. So what are some of the signs that you may be seeking, like really, really seeking, and have not really had a plan in place so far because you've never known how, and they're totally understandable. But some of those signs might be kind of constant Googling, constant YouTubing. You're watching like 10,000 videos, maybe even some of mine, but you're watching 10,000 videos and you actually have no more answers than you started with. Or you're thinking like this is such a needle in a haystack, so you search chakras, you search past lives, you search angels, you search energy, you search intuition, but then actually you're no further than you were before, right? Or maybe you get like 1 or 2 good answers, but you're not quite sure how to put them into place in your own life, right? So that's a good sign that you're living in that kind of anxiety-filled question time, and you're ready actually to shift to having a little bit more of a plan in place. And so that's one signal that you may be there. Suppose you already you feel like you're kind of in that state of flow and you've been there for a while. You're like, you know what? I need to know what's next. So some of those signs may be that you haven't felt like you've really learned anything new, or you haven't stretched or expanded in a little while. Like you're feeling happy, but still a little stagnant. You're ready for the next level. So that might be another sign it's time to put a little intentionality behind what it is that you want to experience, what you want to learn about. You can't guarantee the exact experiences you'll have, but you set the foundation to have those. Guaranteed you won't have them if we're not doing anything. Right? So it's actually really up to us to set our intentionality, to set our expectations that we are going to do everything we can to set the stage, set the foundation, get our spirits in a good place so that when those experiences happen, boy, are we ready for them, right? We are ready to experience those at a high level, and then we're ready to interpret them. So we're not feeling so much in a fog. So tell me if that's all making sense, because this spring energy, it's new life. We're planting seeds. We planted and now the plants are growing. And here they are. Where are you in that cycle? Are you ready to plant some more seeds for your own, in your own soul space? So this springing forward is definitely ready to occur. And I can't wait to see what that looks like in everyone's life. So I'd love in the comments, why don't you just type like where is it that you would like to put some intentionality in your own spiritual life? It could be creating better questions for yourself. It could be creating some intention, just making a plan, finding out what it is that you want to experience first, learning how to make the building blocks, or maybe there's something specific that you want to explore. So you can name that too. So I'd love to read those and just comment on those. Those of you who are in kind of feel like you're in that kind of beginning stage where you're like, I do feel like a needle in a haystack. Or maybe you've been kind of researching and experiencing some of the tools, some of the modalities for a while, but you're ready to see how those really align with your Christian faith, with your Jesus walk. Then I do have a training that's available, so see the link below. If this will serve you in creating some intentionality around your life, go ahead and sign up for that. If not, put in the comments below what it is that you're seeking in your spiritual life right now, because I would love to know. And I thank you, Rachel, for your comment about co-creating. Rachel's an expert at that, and so listen to her for sure. This is definitely possible. It's not only possible, it's extremely joyful. Like when we enter into that space of co-creation with our spiritual lives, it is amazing. All of you deserve it. That's what I desire for the world to experience. If the whole world could experience co-creation, wow, we would be in such a good place. So I want all of you to be part of that. All right, so I hope this is making sense. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what's on your mind, and I will talk to many of you really soon. Bye-bye.